Hi, welcome back. Let's continue our discussion of arrays, but before we do, I wanted to point out something here in this while loop that we can kind of streamline, make a little bit more efficient, or at least a little bit more C-like. In the while loop, notice that we're incrementing count. We do that because if we don't, as I discussed before, this while loop will run on forever because count never gets incremented, count never crosses or gets greater than 4. And so, count never gets greater than 0, and so count less than 5 will always be true. So this degrades into while true, and the while loop will just run forever. So we do have to increment count. We're doing that here. Well, let's do it a little bit differently. Let's try getting rid of that statement and then simply doing this. Now, what happens here? Count will be incremented after it's used to index into grades. So we can't do it, well, we could obviously do it either before or after count. But if we did it before count, count gets incremented before it becomes the index into grades. So this isn't what we want. In other words, the first index will be 1, not 0. So let's, whoops, got rid of too much there. Let's do it this way. And then we'll run it again just to make sure everything's working. But notice that we can increment it right here. We could have indeed incremented it right here and then taken count as well here. As long as we increment count, though, we're fine in the while loop. We'll get out of it successfully. So now let's make and run the file again, and we can see that we are getting grades sub 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, so everything's good. All right, let's keep talking about these arrays. Yes. Okay, so next we're going to see if we can't get some kind of intuitive knowledge of what a string might be by making an array of cars. So here we have an array of cars, 5 cars. Notice that this is another way to initialize an array. I can initialize array right as I declare the array. If I do this, I have 5 characters, Hello, wrapped up in curly braces. And notice that I don't have to give it a number here to tell it how big it's going to be, because it can read the size of the array right from the initialization. So this is another shortcut, if you will, in cases where you know what the members of the array are already going to be. I've reset count to 0, and here I have my while loop again, count less than 5. I'm just going to print out that character and increment count. Again, I could do it right here as well. And then I'm going to print out a new line. So when I do that, I'm going to print what looks like a string. And there we go. It says hello. So it looks like a string. It's really not a string. It's just a simple array of characters. Well, in C, a string is an array of characters. So it's just a special type of array of characters. So now let's try something else. Let's try and make that character string and use it as a string. So here's another way. We can declare that character string, again, a special case of a character string, hello2, an array of 5 cars, and Hello like this. So this looks like a string. This looks like every string we've seen so far. And now we're going to try and print that as a string, %s being the format specifier for a string. So now let's see what happens here. Well, this isn't what we expected. It did print hello, but that then printed hello again, and then a question mark. In other words, garbage. There's something wrong with our intuitive idea of what a string is. So I'm going to show you the answer. In C, a string is an array of characters terminated by what's called a null character. This \0 is a null character. \s0 is the null character. So here I've allocated 6 spots for my characters. Character hello, sub 6 is hello backslash 0. The backslash 0 is a single character. So now if we print out that as a string, it is indeed a string. So let's see what happens. And there we are. We have hello. We're getting closer. Now, if every time we needed to make a string, we had to first of all know how long it was, and then make it big enough to hold the backslash 0, that would be kind of dumb. So there's got to be a better way, and there is. But before we do that, let's just point out the fact that wherever we put the backslash, that is signals the end of the string. So again, car hello 4 sub 6 is he backslash 0 LLO. And I can just say this as he null LLO. And then if I print that out, it will print he and stop right there. So, important stuff. We're learning a bit more about what a string actually is. There we go. So a string is a series of characters terminated by a null, at least in C. We call these ASCII Z strings for ASCII 0, or null terminated strings. So the final example shows the quote right way to declare a string. We use this car star, and you're going aha, or at least you should be going aha, because up here I see the same thing, car star. So somehow argv has to do with strings, right? And it does. I'll tell you more about that a little bit later. But we declare it as a car star, hello 5, and then just give it the string that we want. And notice that we don't have an ASCII Z, we don't have a null, it's just HELLO in double quotes. And if we print that, we will get what we want. And there we are. So we see all of our attempts to create a string called hello. This is the correct way, the right way to do it. Thank you very much.